All right. One more. Down. There we go. All right. So I'm talking about a book. The book is called Playing to Win by David Sterlin, and there it is. So it's also the only way to play. So yeah, I guess I didn't need this book. Okay. So it's from David Sterlin. He's make sure I might be pressing this button on accident. So just okay. Anyway, he was a competitive Street Fighter 2 player, and he moved into game design. He now makes board games and card games. Some really good stuff. But anyway, he wrote this book called Playing to Win, Becoming the Champion, and it was about his sort of philosophy of playing games and playing games competitively. So I'm not talking about this. Like, I don't even know how you win Gone Home. It's just the context we're talking about is competitive, zero-sum, and tournament play, like high-level play. So the basic philosophy, playing to win is basically the only way to actually play a game. If you're not playing to win, in this context again, you're not even really playing the game. You're playing something else. And fun is not a factor here at all. You're not playing for entertainment or fun. That's just a total non-issue. And of course, the only reason to play is, okay, that's the wrong image. It's supposed to be, that's what happens when you paste someone into your slides, right? So now let's talk about the enemy. The enemy of the sort of pro player, is the scrub. So that's not what I asked for either. But anyway, let's see if we could roll with this. So what is a scrub? A scrub is someone who isn't playing to win, basically. And they're screwing up your competitive environment by saying things like, that play was cheap. Why are you doing that? That's you shouldn't be doing that play. So they don't really want to win. They just want to play around with bubbles all day because bubbles are fun. So yeah, you can't throw a bunch of tacks at my bubbles because it ruins my bubble play, and the tacks are totally overpowered, and what are you doing? That's cheap. And so this is an example of tacks. And of course, I had to reference Netrunner. I'm sorry. But this is a count siphon from Netrunner. This is a card that is very swingy. It takes money away from the opponent and gives you a shitload of money. It just changes the game significantly. And you could kind of do this 2 or 3 times in a turn if you set it up right. And it's a lot of people view this card specifically, and this faction, this blue faction, the criminals, they're viewed as the sort of cheap, the tournament player faction. They're the ones that win a lot in tournaments. The people that are scrubs, as Sterlin would call them, are not playing criminal because they think it's a cheap way to play, because it's super efficient. But it is worth mentioning that he mentions in the book as well that bubbles are worth playing with. He doesn't call it bubbles. I don't know why I got so stuck up on bubbles, but. So I mean, the point here is that R&D and optimizing are really important. So it's not to if there's for example, if there's a faction in the game like Jinteki and Netrunner that is generally viewed as not being a competitive faction, it's kind of a toy, it's something, it's a curiosity. It might still be worth exploring it, and it just so happens that the winner of the national tournament last year won using Jinteki, and no one saw it coming, and they just weren't prepared for it. And he just really honed his ability to play that faction and played it really well. And so it's not to say that you can't play with bubbles. It's just to say do what play to win basically. If you could win with bubbles, then hey, do it. Okay, I think that's the end of the bubble stuff for now. So we'll talk about optimal plays. So optimal plays are always valid, and he talks a lot for a Street Fighter, where he would just do some stupid, I didn't play Street Fighter, so do some stupid kicking move that he would do the same move over and over again. That was relatively easy to pull off, but that certain players would have a hard time countering, and they would say, why do you keep doing the same thing over and over again? You're beating me, but it's stupid. And he'd say, well, I'm winning, beat me. And so that's kind of his answer to cheap moves is, it's up to the player to counter your cheap move. If they can't counter it, then you deserve to beat them. And they deserve to beat you if they are able to counter it because you're doing something stupid. And the last point to make is if a game really has a cheap move, something that is just the winning strategy and everyone's using it and winning, it's probably the fault of the game more than the player. So this is my favorite part, and this is something that I really started using in my own. I play a lot of tournament play in Netrunner, which is a highly competitive game like Magic, and it's easy to. I see players tilt all the time where they start getting some bad luck and they lose the game right then and there, and I could see it. And he talks a lot about this. So losing is a fantastic opportunity. You're going to learn something from it. I'm trying to speed up because I'm running out of time. And yeah, so play against players who are better than you and accept that you're going to lose, and that's just a good thing. So basically be data. And what do I mean by that? I mean be data. Like, he doesn't have emotions. I don't know what big data is, but it's a hot thing right now. So, okay, so the question is, should we just cheat? Because cheating is going to win, right? And he says, no, you should not cheat, because cheating is cheating and it's not even playing the game. So he says, you should play within the rule set of the game, but play as optimally as you can. And also good sportsmanship. He says that he sees players in his competitive environments that are not good sportsmanship. So they'll try and get in your mind as you're playing them. And he says that's totally valid. He just doesn't think that has a huge impact on competitive tournament play. So he encourages good sportsmanship, because it also is a way to get into the other player's head. So last thing he talks about in this book that I think is an important takeaway is Yomi, which is that concept of I know that you know that I know, that sort of rock, paper, scissors, 3-layer deep thing. I can't go into this too much, but basically it's a way to get into the mind of your opponent and know what they're going to do, and then you don't even have to worry about strategy because you know what they're going to do. And that's a lot what Street Fighter is about. And yeah, I couldn't copyright issues. That's Street Fighter 2. But I don't even know why that's in there. So I wanted to get to this. This is a card game he made called Yomi. That's basically Street Fighter 2 as a card game. You should check it out. It's all about Yomi, which is this Japanese word for this concept of outwitting your opponent. And it's a very simple rock, paper, scissors game. Well, it's not so simple, but it's that basic premise, and it's really good. So finally, be this person here. Don't be this person. And that's what this book is about, and that's it.